Competitive Hearthstone is a bit of a different beast than standard play or ranked ladder Hearthstone. While anyone can participate in a competitive Hearthstone arena, to be successful it requires an in-depth understanding of matchups, tech cards, creating well-rounded lineups, as well as the endurance to play multiple games at a time. Join me while I start 2021 with no knowledge of competitive Hearthstone and see how I improve throughout the year. Becoming a Grandmaster is obviously an unrealistic expectation. I will play in both qualifiers and grassroots tournaments to monitor my improvements throughout the year, as well as aim for higher and higher end season ranks on ladder. My name is Sam, and this is Getting Competitive in Hearthstone. What is going on, everybody? We are back with episode 4 of Getting Competitive in Hearthstone. I have done this intro too many times because I cannot talk well, but this is week number 5 of the Concede listener series, and before we get into it, I want to give a huge thank you and shout out to the Concede community and the hosts, Ridiculous Hat, Bodicus, and Edelweiss. The podcast is built from when it began, a wonderful community that has such a positive view of the game that has helped me develop a healthy relationship with the game myself. So if you're not listening to the Concede podcast or not in the Discord, I encourage you to go follow them on Twitter, go listen to the podcast. I guarantee you will not regret it. They are awesome. But this week's match, we are currently 2-2 in the series, was against Madraslover. And I believe that's how you pronounce their battle tag. I apologize if I said that wrong. But it was a really fun match. I'm going to get in the decks here in a second. But this weekend's also qualifiers. And this is the first time I've ever done qualifiers. I believe I'm playing on Sunday, but I'm really, really excited. That episode should come out a week. I'm trying to put out episodes every Tuesday around then. Well scheduled. Well put together content creator right here. But expect a video of that at some point. That should be episode 5. But the decks this week, this is a lot. This is a fun match. I really, really enjoyed this match. I brought Soul Demon Hunter, Cyclone Mage, and Weapon Rogue. And my opponent brought, let me get this right, Token Druid, Ramp Paladin, and Aggro Rogue. And it was just a very fun match. I'm going to go over the decks I brought, but I banned their Ramp Paladin because that's not a playstyle I like to play personally or even play against, and I didn't want to have to think through that. And my opponent banned Soul Demon Hunter because I'm guessing after they saw my ban, they realized that Soul Demon Hunter would definitely cause the most problems for their lineup. So guys, we're going to get into the decks. Remember to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the client to go over the decks I brought. So my list for Soul Demon has not changed much from last week. I did drop a Consume Magic for the second Ildari studies. I'm not sure how this would have stacked up. When I go to qualifiers, I am planning on bringing a Soul Demon Hunter, so I will probably curate this list a little differently. But as always, we run the Soul package of Spirit Jailer, Soul Shear, Marrow Slicer, and cards that become better because of those cards, like Shard Shatter Mystic, Soul Shard Lapidary, and Sociologist Militia. We run the weapon buffs like Twin Slice, Chaos Strike, Relentless Pursuit, and that allows us to discount Bladed Lady. We can play Blade Dance for a 3 minion board clear, or sometimes it is a board clear. And of course we have weapons that just are allowed to push a lot of damage, like Marrow Slicer and Eldrazi Warblades, and as always, Eldrazi Warblades can be used as a finisher with Il'gynoth to push double digits worth of damage. And we also run Skull of Gul'dan, which is one of the most broken cards. At 5, this card is nuts, but at 6, this card is still really, really good. And we just have card draw. We cycle with Mana Feeder, Panthera, and Chaos Strike. Like I said last week, this deck really just seems so well constructed and so tight that it's really hard to change stuff. But for qualifiers, I do expect that I will have a bit of a different list. So Cyclone Mage is a bit of a different list than I'm used to. Back in Scholomance, I did not love this deck. I did not love the playstyle, and that was because cards like Evocation and the Solarian cards were pretty busted. Evocation costed 1. This deck doesn't run Solarian, but Solarian Prime was a 7 mana puzzle box essentially that targeted opponents. But this list runs a little more elementals. We have elemental allies for card draw. Then we have cards like Violet Spellwing, Mana Cyclone, and Shenvala and Mana Giant just to continually draw cards. And we also run spell damage cards like Primordial Studies to discount them and discover them, and Lab Partner, as well as the new card Imprisoned Phoenix, which is actually also an elemental. I forgot to mention that. That lets us draw cards with Cram Session and also boost up Ras Frost Whisper, which will deal 1 damage and be improved if you have spell damage. Aside from that, we have tempo cards like Jandis, and then we have the package that kind of makes this deck so good, Mana Cyclone and Sorcerer's Apprentice, which you kind of just dump all your cheap spells and then add random spells to your hand. And that Cram Session, not Cram Session, Conjure Mana Biscuit, the new card from the mini set, really does well with that, because we can play 2 spells, they're discounted, and they just generate so much value. On top of that, cards like Magic Trick, Violet Spellwing, and Wand Thief also generate spells. And then if we need to, we have Evocation for an end of game hand flood, which is just really good. Shenvala also works really well with Sorcerer's Apprentice, discounting your spells, just can summon a bunch of minions. The issue is that this deck does not love getting hit in the face, and a lot of decks like to hit you in the face right now. So I think if the meta slows down a bit, this deck will become much better. But I really want to bring it instead of Combo Rogue, and I'll show you why when we get to Rogue. And this is Weapon Rogue. This is actually the latest list that my buddy ChiroRogue sent me. I will drop his link in the description. He's a streamer, all-around cool guy, plays a ton of Rogue. The day of the mini set drop, we were sending each other deck lists. Really cool dude. But essentially the idea is you run cards like Self-Sharpening Sword. You buff them up with Deadly Poison and the new card Nitro Boost Poison. And then you can oftentimes get just a big minion off of Steel Dancer. On top of that, you have cards that benefit from you having a weapon like Southsea Deckhand, which gets charge. And if you play this when you have a weapon and Nitro Boost Poison, it's a 4/1 with charge, as well as Dread Corsair, which basically can cost 0. We run a Sap just to remove taunt minions because we want a Smork. And then we have the Stealth package in Spy Mistress, Worgen Infiltrator, and Greyheart Sage, and also Sneaky Delinquent, which just helps you push damage and can also be buffed without any issues with Nitro Boost Poison. And we also have burn cards like Sinister Strike and Eviscerate, which can just push more damage. We top off a Jandis Barov, which is a phenomenal tempo card, and Dr. Krasnov, which also buffs your weapon. Usually it only gets 1, sometimes if you're lucky it can get 2. And also, I forgot to mention this, but Cutting Class benefits from you having a big weapon. And then if we ever need refill, which we can dump our hand pretty quickly, we run Eviscerate, and this card can often just find you lethal. And any cards you draw after playing Eviscerate with either like Greyheart Sage or Cutting Class also just get added to your hand. This deck is just pretty fluid. He built a really good deck. And like I said, guys, all decks will be in the description below, as well as on the side when we're playing. So guys, we're going to get to the games. I hope you enjoy those games, and I will see you later. Alright, so just a quick reminder that this is at ×2 speed, and this first match is Weapon Rogue, versus Token Druid. So our hand is a little clunky. Like, Jandis and Cutting Class are just slow. We don't have coins, so we can't coin Jandis out in 4. So it looks like our first turn play will be the Spy Mistress. Getting Self-Sharpening Sword for 3 is really good. We greet, we're polite, we're good, we're polite Hearthstone players, so I'm trying to say. So they're going to play Gibberling on turn 1, and they have the coin, so they can coin out Gibberling 2. Also get a Nature Studies, which is going to discover a spell which could summon another Gibberling. Luckily, they don't, and I kind of... what I'm thinking here is I have to kill off the spell Burst Gibberling, and if I trade off the Spy Mistress, then I'm not really doing much to contest board in the future. So instead of taking 2 of the Gibberlings off board, I can take off 1, then next turn play the Self-Sharpening Sword. They get Dreamway Guardians, which summons 2 tokens. We're going to take one of those off the board, as well as a Gibberling. Unfortunately, Sinister Strike doesn't really do what we need it to do. And they're going to play Bees to summon 3 more tokens, and we're in a bit of a rough spot right now. We can trade, And we'll play a second minion just to get minion density on board. And I'm trying to figure out where I want to send that Eviscerate. I know it's not going fast because I know it needs to kill a minion. And getting a 1/3 on board just helps get that density on board like we were talking about. We'll decide to draw instead of play destroy one of their minions. Tree Reinforcements will summon another minion, and then their field will get buffed with the choose one spell. Then they're gonna go face for 2, so they put me at 16. Luckily this turn we get to play Jandis Barov. Fortunately neither of these have taunt, and we just need to take minions off board. We have to make sure we can't die to Savage, or however they play Arbor up, which is gonna put a ton of pressure on the board for us. We get Nitro Boost Poison, and we have Eviscerate still, so we can play the Corrupted Nitro Boost Poison on Jandis, Eviscerate one of their 4/3s, and take some really decent value trades here. So we'll send our 4/2 into theirs. It'll immediately die. We can send Harrison in. I was thinking we can train to a B, but it will die no matter where it goes. Same with Jandis, and then we can kill off a Bs. And then we're going to summon some stealth minions so we can contest whatever pressure they make. And now it's really hard for them to push damage. We aren't in a great spot. Like, we are still struggling. And they've made 2 5-drop minions. But, excuse me, we can play the South Sea Deckhand to trade into both of those and our minions. And we're just going to hold the sword because we want to draw eventually draw a Steel Dancer if we can. We get Secret Passage, which is the best card we can get right now, because now we can refill our board with a Dread Corsair, a Steel Dancer, summon an Atrop. It also is a taunt, not very high statted, but it will defend the board well enough. And we kind of hopefully have stabilized with 5 health here. My opponent just armors up and doesn't really do anything. Sap is in the deck too. That's not going to do too much, but we will push. Let me think. Let me count that real quick. I believe that is 13 or 12. Sorry. Yeah, it's 12 damage, which is really good. They're going to Lunar Eclipse our Dread Corsair and armor up again. We are just in a really well place right now, and we're going to push some more damage, this time 12. And I do miss the lethal there. I, for whatever reason, miscounted my damage. So hopefully I'm not punished. That was not BM, so I do apologize if Madraslover is watching it. I did intend to I should have played the Sinister Strike there. They concede, though. Luckily, we were not punished. So the second game was a game I was a little more worried about. Cyclone Mage is really bad into the rest of their lineup. Aggro Rogue and Token Druid, they're just so aggressive, and Cyclone Mage really can't get off the ground because it's so slow. So we're kind of hoping that our start will help us get there. Unfortunately, the minions we got were just terrible. I picked the Taunt because I thought it'd be best in the long run, and none of these are that good either. In retrospect, I should have picked Font of Power as a combo activator and to hopefully add a minion to our hand. But I picked Deck of Lunacy because I thought it could be good. They start off with Dreamway Guardians. Luckily, we do get a 1-drop in Violet Spellwing, and we can discover another Wand Thief. We get Counterspell because I know Counterspell will be able to counter what they do. They are not on coin, so that's good for us. However, in retrospect, I should have been really should have been looking for a Flame Ward. That would have helped this matchup quite a bit. They're going to go off a little bit with the Gibberling to summon 3 and just fill the board and play Power of the Wild, the card I mispronounced earlier, and just fill up that board. So here I should be really trying to clear this board off, and Arcane Missiles doesn't really clear this board at all. Deck of Lunacy is not going to get played, it's too slow, and I was hoping that one of those would go into the Gibberling. Obviously it didn't. We can ping it off board, but we're still leaving 8 worth of damage on board. If we do that, we can freeze and kill something. It's just not clean enough, and this is really the issue with Cyclone Mage. It's just so slow, and they're just going to fill up the board again with more Dreamway Guardians. I really need to find a Flame Ward of some sort, but right now with 10 stats on the board plus any Savage Roar or Arbor up that comes down next turn, we're just not in a very good spot. We can freeze some stuff. I play the Elemental just to hopefully find something. Those are not the secrets. Those are not the cards we're looking for. Fireball isn't going to clean up anything, and that's not a Flame Ward. So they're going to clear off our board, go face, and Shenvala is not going to be able to discover us a spell in any way. I think about drawing here, but there's nothing really I can do, so I'm just going to bottom right and concede. And the last match is going to be Cyclone Mage versus Aggro Rogue. This is a really, really fun game. And it kind of shows how Cyclone Mage can really perform. We're going to send the whole hand back. Ray of Frost isn't going to interact with frozen, with silence minion, with stealth minions, I'm sorry. And it's just not good enough. Our hand is also, again, very clunky. Shenvala and Raz are slow, and Jandis is also slow. So we're kind of hoping to get to Raz to just clear the board and maintain some board presence. We can play Primordial Studies here to discover Blood Mage Thanos to draw a card, and we will freeze the 3-attack minion. Stopping them from hitting us in the face is really good for us. But it looks like they're going to play a weapon here. They're going to play Sneaky Delinquent. Okay, I guess it's not a weapon. They're going to play Sneaky Delinquent, backstab our Blood Mage Thanos. We draw Cyclone, Mana Cyclone, and we're just going to freeze their Sneaky Delinquent, stave off as much aggression as we can, and ping their Spy Mistress. They're going to dagger up, and I believe they play a Nitro Boost Poison here, and they're going to, if they do that, they're going to push a total of 8. They play a crab, actually. I thought they had Nitro Boost Poison in their hand. I was wrong. But here we play Raz. Raz clears off their board, and now they have to deal with Raz, or Raz will continually do that each turn, which they don't want to do. Luckily, Crab, or unfortunately Crab, can clear Raz by trading into it. So I forgot what they do here. If they swing into Raz, or if they Crab into Raz. It actually looks like they South Sea Deccan and push 9, which is definitely the better play here. But I'm going to go off with Shenvala this turn. I'm going to play the Sorcerer Apprentice to discount our spells, and then freeze their Crab, and hit it one more time. It will not die, but we do get Mana Cyclone, and I can play Primordial Studies. And I take the Azure Explorer to discover a dragon. Also, getting that Combustion is awesome. And now they kind of have to deal with this board because they can't continually push damage, especially with this Sorcerer Apprentice on board. And we are showing 9 damage, and attacking with that Sneaky Delinquent's Ghost was really good because then we can play Combustion and also play the Ice Barrier to get some armor when they attack. If they do Sinister Strike, Eviscerate, we are dead. Luckily, it looks like they don't get that. They get Swindle. They play it twice. They're going through their deck. They get a Hook Scimitar, as well as another Cutting Class. So they're just digging for damage. They're going to go face here. They can't take out our Shenvala, and we heal for 8. And with Shenvala, the Elemental it's summoned, and the Cyclone, plus the Mask of Cthulhu in my hand, that will be exactly enough, even with that 1 health minion, to be lethal. And Cyclone Mage just did Cyclone Mage things. So guys, thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week with episode 5. Take care.